Okay, I did not write this to walk into a hornet's nest with you all. I don't have opinions. I don't care. I'm neutral. I'm Switzerland. Whatever. Anyway, I don't want to. We're not going to get into that. Okay. All right. Great. Okay. What information would help us in this situation? Okay. Wait a minute. How many of you are really concerned about this topic? Great. Okay. Glad do you have a question back there?
Let's say the history.
That's where we run a triple I, right?
Yes, the triple I. Also, we could look at their conduct record to see if anything like that had happened.
No, but to your, and I joke, I don't mean that. But I can tell you, this is where someone like Chief Sinclair comes in really handy, because we can look and we can look at their criminal history and say, have there been issues in the past? It's hugely helpful. We can also look, if this is a transfer student, we can look at their past at their other school as well. So that history is very important, whether it be conduct or criminal. Because sometimes if it's criminal, if it happened before they got here, we wouldn't know unless we. I won't say
ran the triple I.
Say it again. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I want to know maybe what they mean when they say "go nuts." On that awful professor, that can mean a lot of different things. And sort of getting a little more information about what they meant by that statement.
If you didn't have the paragraph above. About the campus carry and stuff, and a student said, "I'm going to go nuts on that awful professor."
Still asking
We're still asking them questions. Great. Okay. Anything else that you might want to be able to provide the care team?
Yeah, I do think your discipline is just relevant, because if you're in a philosophy class where you're actually talking about gun control, it is a class conversation. But if you're teaching biology, it's irrelevant, and that student has habitually brought this up in the context that would not address it.
Right. Yeah, different point. Right.
Yeah, for sure. Also, it's a key to me when it's arguing instead of just like discussion. I mean, just little things like that. Anything else before we? Yeah.
I want to know this nature of frustrated with classmates. What does that look like? Who has that been disclosed to? Was it an observation by classmates? I think that's just as important as the professor.
Oftentimes we get various reports from different people, right? Like that's the point of the bit team. But so he might have a report here, and then this comes in from someone else. Carrie, what would you say?
No, and I think this goes back to that, and I like my puzzle analogy, bear with me again, is that this is something, if you're hearing this through your office when someone comes in, I think it's important to know, are there other pieces? Is this something where there are maybe more overt threats, or where there's this conversation with this level of aggression or threatening language, other areas that we need to maybe piece together so we can, again, fully assess the level of threat the student poses.
Last thing I'll probably, and this is probably not something that we have access to, but if this is happening in the classroom, where else is this happening? Like you said, is this happening on social media? Is he posting
social
things?
media? I'm glad you brought that up. I can tell you one of the things our university police do. We had a student last year that caused all kinds of issues on Yik Yak. All kinds of problems on Yik Yak. He's another one that I meet with every 2 weeks in my office this semester. And so, and that's as a result of some of this behavior. One of the things that we've done is now to keep a finger on him is to meet with him regularly so we can see what's happening. So that's one of the things we can talk about in a second. But Yik Yak's anonymous. However, the beauty of Yik Yak is that they are wonderful in terms of if there's some kind of threat on social media. So play it out, the students saying some things on social media. Yik Yak can de-anonymize that and give the university police the exact space, time, place, IP address where that was posted. So we then get that student's information. We've had that has happened probably at least a handful of times in the past year, where we've been able to find out who's been posting those things, tie them to somebody, and it's another piece of that puzzle that goes together. So we monitor social media regularly.
Also with Yik Yak, I don't know if you know this or not, but for one particular student that you meet with, after we figured out where he lived, Yik Yak tells you where they are. So I could just see like, oh, he posted from there, so that's obviously him. So
they will tell you they were at Health Science Center at the food court area. It's like 12:32 and they have class at 1 and they finished class at 12:30 and they were eating and I can tell you that the students will look you, that wasn't me. Really? Because then you post it later at College Park at 27 where you live, you know what I mean? So so we are able to put those pieces together. So it's very, very helpful. University police regularly monitor social media.
So Joy asked us to talk a little bit more about threat assessments in general. Carrie and I have both done those. I think they're interesting and kind of,
Well,
I mean,
just to walk you through what that means when we say threat assessments, I think it means lots of different things to people. I mean, like I said, we have a threat assessment team that is run by Chief Sinclair. We have several experts that are on that team. We have people from Caruth. If it's from the faculty side, it may be someone from faculty staff assistance. But we try to gather all the information that we have, whether it be the student's background, the social media, reports that we have received. And then that risk rubric that I showed earlier, we look through that, and if student is a certain level, then they're automatically go to a threat assessment. There are 5 of us trained on threat assessment on campus. We do them in teams. Unfortunately, it is all women, and the one student that I meet with every couple of weeks is he hates women. He hates them. I mean, that's part of his post, this misogynistic post. So we have 2 people there, not only to observe, but also to make sure that we are safe and that everybody's kind of to look out for everyone's well-being. But we do, it's a specific tool that we use, and based on the threat assessment outcome, there's several things we can do. We can put students on interim suspension and remove them from campus immediately. We can ban students from campus if we need to. We can ban students from specific buildings or residence halls, depending on the nature of the threat. So we take those very, very seriously. Some of those interim things, sometimes we take an interim measure and then we get more information and we can lift those and modify those. But we will take whatever measure we think is necessary based on the information we have to make sure campus is safe. We have some students that have been removed from campus completely based on those assessments, or they've been mandated to have further risk assessments with specific qualified individuals before they can return. So there's lots of things that we do. So I would say to you, if you have a student in your office, this is one of those things you're going to want to get to us immediately. Now, if it's again, safety protocol, if they're threatening and you're observing it and it's something that's a little bit more severe than what we see in this scenario, you can call university police. Immediately. University police will respond to that. Again, they will govern the next steps. It's not uncommon when we see things with students who are engaging in this behavior where we have police reports and we have other, again, this behavior is usually not isolated. So if you ever feel afraid, again, those are things you want to report immediately, and the police will respond and guide you through those next steps. And I would say too, if you have a student that is predisposed to this type of behavior, you have some concern, like they've made comments before and it might be escalating, I would encourage you not to meet with them alone, to meet with them with someone else there. I know we have safety, we have like alarms in our office that we have panic buttons that we can press that goes right to the police if need to. But again, I will also say, university police, sometimes if we have rising concerns, they'll be in the area
frequently.
So if we say the one student with the Star Wars, we had a student that was sending some threats to the Star Wars club. He was sending messages he was wanting to know when the club meeting was, and he would send messages where, when, date, time, very aggressive things that were making people a little afraid, combined with several other things. And so university police were in the general area when the meeting occurred. Sometimes they'll come in plain clothes. Sometimes they'll be there in a cruiser, depending on what happens. So you can always call the police and have them generally there, to kind of and sometimes, again, you may not be needed, but at least they're there and they can respond pretty quickly. So we do take these things very seriously. And I one of the things, if you take anything from today, mental health, it's a problem. It's one of those things we have, that mental health, specifically severe mental health issues with students, is on the rise. And so we really do need to be aware of what's happening, and make sure that if you see something, say something, report it. Even if you file a report and it's something that doesn't come to fruition, if it's something someone said joking, the whole mountain layer situation, when someone made that, when we were able to uncover it, it ended up being, it was some kind of flip comment that they did not mean, in that context, it went, it certainly got some feet and got traction. But those are things we definitely want to look into, because you see what's happening around the country, and we don't ever want to be in a position where you don't report something. So, always err on the side of reporting, having somebody look into it, making sure you're safe. If you don't think you can meet with a student, we're always willing to meet with students with you. If you need somebody to kind of sit in on a meeting, you can ask us. We have Caruth sit in regularly. Jill and I tag team meetings frequently if we need to have someone there, even if it's on Zoom, to make sure someone's observing what's happening. Because sometimes if you're in the moment, you're not necessarily maybe focusing on all the things you can be focusing on, because either you're afraid or someone says something, and observing, to your point earlier, all those things that are happening. But we'd be happy to answer questions about threat assessment specifically if anybody has anything they would like to ask about those. Yes,
I just want to add a comment. At the Health Sciences Center, we actually have the ability to contact our IT department and have them install a program on our computers so that we basically depress the F9 and the F11. And that will dispatch somebody to our office. It gets tested, I think, monthly.
this is news to me. I bet. Okay, that's interesting. I was gonna say.
We had a situation happen with a student, and that's when it became aware. And everybody in our student affairs office has it on their computer.
Yeah. I mean, again, and I do have students that, because one of the other things that we do as part of sometimes the outcomes of the threat assessment is if it doesn't rise to the level where we need to remove them, we do want to make sure that we are checking in regularly. I draw the short straw on that like 95% of the time. So they're usually meeting with me. And I can tell you, anytime I meet with them, I let our office knows. They know that this person's coming in. They're aware we're meeting. My door's partway open. You know, I situate. I mean, I even think about where I'm sitting. You know, you need to be thinking about all of those things to make sure that you are safe, because we live in a crazy world at the moment, you know, and unfortunately, and I don't mean to ever be flip about campus carry either. I know it's a genuine concern. It's happening. It is what it is, you know, in terms of, I think it's, you will see over the course of the next year, the things we're doing as an institution to kind of make sure that we are putting some measures in place. It's the law, so it's going to be in effect at some point. But I think there's some genuine fear around that. We have some concerns because one of the things we look at when we're talking about harm is you have access to weapons. And that's one of the first things we look at. That it may change some of the way we look at some of the things that we assess on our end too. But I will just say to you, we take these things very seriously. I assure you, even if you send that one of these things to us, we may not be able to tell you everything that's happening, but I assure you, we assess these levels of threat on a regular basis and try to make sure that everybody's safe. So, but I like that. I need to look into that.
Yes, I would love that.
It was absolutely fantastic. And I one time depressed it and was like, oh dear God, I hope they don't come, because that was totally my bad. And I picked up the phone and they're like,
Mind
You accidentally pushed F9 and F11 at the same
I
time.
did, because I couldn't see the numbers. Yeah.
They had our panic buttons under our desk, and when you would move, you'd set them off with your chair. So they had.
Yeah, I've done that.
It would.
So overall questions. I know this was a lot. You're gonna walk out of here and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh. You can email us or call us at any point. We'll answer questions. We'll walk through things with you. We'll join you in meetings. Whatever you need, we can do it. You know, within reason for me, but anything for Carrie, she'll do anything.
I'm just an empty nester with a lot of love to give. I just, my husband's like, my God, but it's, I mean, it's a bit of a, don't have any boundaries.
Some kindness. Does anybody have any questions real quick?
Good guy too, just saying.
He's a good guy. This way has no.
Anybody, any questions? Thank you so much for letting us come here and talk to you. We really, really appreciate it. The more we can get this out through campus, the better it'll work. So thank you.
So as we wrap up, yes. As we wrap up, I do want to give a reminder that we have a half-day virtual advising conference on September the 14th. So check out the listserv messages for those details. If you're not getting listserv messages, join it. And the way that you join it is you can sign up on the AAC website, which is academicadvising.wvu.edu, and that way you'll never miss a thing. And we will send out a lot of follow-up information after this for you as well. I'm sure that your office will share the assessment tool that you put in the PowerPoint, because I think that's pretty interesting to look at as well. So we will send a lot of follow-up resources for this, as well as contact information if you have specific individual concerns. But thank you all so much for your time and attention today. Yes,
Say
yes,
something in closing.
yes, Jen, of course you can.
It's important. I've been here forever. I know I'm a dinosaur. When the dinosaurs roamed the mountain there, I was here to that. So I just have to say, from my perspective, there are not enough accolades to thank you and your staff for what you do to help our students be successful and to help the entire campus be safe. And I just putting it out there. Thank you.
Well, I will
Much
say,
peace,
to you,
much love.
thank you for that. It does not happen in a vacuum. I mean, again, there's a team of us, and I can tell you, for those of us that you see, there's a team behind the scenes that are working. So thank you. And I mean, and we also rely on people like you to partner with us so that we can be aware. And again, going back to the cheesy analogy of puzzles, but it works for me. Putting those pieces together, I think it's very, very important. So thank you for that. I do appreciate it.
It's, well, deserved
Thank
and
you.
long overdue, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you. I was gonna say, we do a lot of heavy lifting, and that is for sure, but I will also say again, I think it's, I mean, it's. I love it, you know, you do see the reward at the end of the day, and it's nice to be able to see that you're making a difference and see people, you know, kind of succeed, so it's a win all around, but thank you for that, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day.